Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Katie. Today I am filming the finale for my 2020 Pan That palette, so if you are interested, just keep on watching. Okay, so for my 2020 Pan That palette, I actually ended up focusing on two palettes. The first one I focused on was the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons, and then after I hit pan on the shades I wanted to on that one, I rolled in the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. So let's first talk about the Too Faced Bonbons palette. I hit pan on 7 shades. So I hit pan on Almond Truffle, Satin Sheets, Sprinkles, Molasses Chip, Cafe au lait, and lastly I hit pan on Divinity. So I was really happy with the use I got out of that palette, and I used that palette a total of 272 times, which is a lot. And then I rolled in the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and I will recap the shades that I was working on. So the shade I was working on was White Peach, and this last time my goal was to use this shade 20 times, and I ended up using it around 35 times. And I did hit pan after about 20 uses. But overall, I've used this shade 92 times, which is insane. So it took so many uses to hit pan on this shade, and this is White Peach right there, and I do have pan. The next shade I was still working on was Luscious, and I wanted to use that shade 10 times, and I used it 12. I did not hit pan on it, and overall in the project I used it 25 times. And this is what this shade is looking like. It has a dip, but nowhere near hitting pan. And I'm nowhere near, spoiler alert, I'm nowhere near hitting pan on any of the other shades, and I'm pretty sick of using this palette. I've used it a ton. At the end, you'll see my total number of uses on this palette during this project. But I used that shade throughout this project a total of 25 times. I'm estimating that for most of these shades, it's going to take at least 60 uses to hit pan on, which is definitely a lot. And I will be rolling probably 3 of these shades into my year-long 2021 project pan, so stay tuned for that. But the next shade I was still focusing on was Nectar. I wanted to use that shade 10 times, and I used it 20 times. And this is what this shade is looking like. Again, some use, nowhere near hitting pan, tiny dip. And I have used that shade a total of 47 times. So I'm nowhere near hitting pan on that. So actually, now that I think about it, I think it might take closer to like 85 times to hit pan in one of these shadows for me, because I'm very light-handed. So yeah, that's why I am calling it quits for the last 2 months of this project, and I'll be rolling a couple shades into next year. I just need a break from this palette. The next shade I was focusing on was Peaches and Cream, and last time I wanted to use it at least 10 times, and I used it 20 times. And that is what this shade is looking like. There is a dip going in this, but I still think it's going to take a lot more uses. I have used that shade a total of 39 times in this project. The next shade I was focusing on was Cobbler. I wanted to use that shade 10 times for this update, and I used it 11. And again, this looks barely used at all, but there is some use on it. And in total in this project, I have used that shade 26 times. The next shade I was still focusing on was Georgia. I wanted to use that at least 10 times for this update, and I used it 12. And again, this one has a good dip going. Still not close to hitting pan though. And I used that shade a total of 33 times in this project. The last shade I was focusing on for this update was Bless Her Heart. And I just wanted to use that 4 times, which I did. And I really ended up liking this shade. I didn't like it the first couple times I used it, but if I layer it with other shadows or use a glitter glue, I really like that shade, so I'm glad that I decided to focus on that a little bit. And then the next shade I was focusing on was Summer Yum, and I wanted to use that shade 4 times, and I did. And that is this really pretty orangey kind of brown. And then the last shade I wanted to use was Delectable. I wanted to use that 5 times, and I did, and that is this purple right here. So overall, this past time, I used this palette at least 121 times since my last update. There's a couple other shades I used. Candy Peach once. I used Caramelized, which is this shade, 6 times. I used Bellini once, and I used Puree 6 times. I used Tempting once, which is the black. I used Peach Pit twice, which is the shimmery dark purple. I used Charmed, I'm Sure, twice, which is this cooler toned brown. And then that's it. So overall in this project, I have actually used this palette 361 times, and I only have pan in 1 shade, which is insane to me. So for some reason, this palette was a lot harder to hit pan in for me than this one. And I think it has to do with the shape of the pans, because these ones are kind of smaller and heart-shaped, most of them. But anyway, I'm still really happy I, focused on this and gave this palette a lot of love this year. The more I use this palette, the more I like it, so that's always a good thing. And yeah, I think next year I will be rolling in the shade Peaches and Cream, Georgia, and Luscious to my 2020 project pan. And I do have a different eyeshadow project pan in mind for next year, so I will be doing that as well. But yeah, guys, that is my finale. In total, I hit pan on 9 shades, which I think is pretty good, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So if you guys like project pans, make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a like, and stay tuned for my next one. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.